repeat that. So good morning and welcome to all of you for this session on embodying the archetypes. And as usual, all the usual guidelines apply around confidentiality and being someone who will listen if somebody decides that they want to share, and being the witness is a really, really important part of that. And to make sure that anything that we say is just a guideline, it's really important that you know that as well. And that you are in full sovereignty, full responsibility for your body. So only do what you feel is right for you in this particular moment. And that also this is a space for giving advice. And also that we ask that what is said here stays here. So although we're being recorded and what you say on video will be recorded, anything that you write in the chat will be anonymized. So know that that will be kept completely confidential. So let us start by just arriving. So I invite you to take a moment to bring your attention inward, to feel your feet on the floor, to feel your bum on the seat. And to notice your breath. And to ask yourself the question, how you are. And how do you know? How do you know how you are? And where do you feel it in your body? And I invite you to write in the chat your answer to those questions. How are you? How do you know? And where do you feel it? So as usual, I'm quite excited and quite nervous to be here, and I can feel that around my heart, and I can feel that in my breath, like a little bit of tension there. So something as simple as that, just to tune in to what is present for you right now. And writing in the chat just gives a sense of that, what's in the room. But it's just more important really that you take a moment to think about where you're at. And then that allows you to tune in and to get a sense of how resilient I am, how much I want to share, how much I want to maybe push myself or maybe to hold back a little bit. Do I want to take some self-care? So we have bubbling happiness, sensation from the belly and the throat. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, hopeful, calm awareness in my heart and my belly, and energy in my posture. Fantastic, great. Thank you. And I know that one in our number finds it really hard to type in the chat, so I won't wait for anyone else to share. Beautiful. Okay, so just to say that these sessions are by donation, so I'm typing in the chat and sharing in the chat for anyone that would like to share in donation, and for anyone who's looking on the platform, again, all of those buttons are there to be able to donate, and as always, that is greatly appreciated. Great, so let's get on with the content of today. So what we're going to be looking at today is about listening and communication, and particularly today through the lover archetype. And we're going to be using a model that I first heard about in a book called Presence by a coach, a voice coach and a performance coach called Patsy Rodenburg. And she has this really beautiful exercise that she refers to as breathing to. So you breathe to an object. So I invite you to go and get, or to just find in the room, an object. So I've got this beautiful glass object vase made in the Bath Glassworks, because I'm in Bath at the moment. Okay, so that was made for me and my partner. And just place it sort of relatively close to. It could be a plant, it could be an object outside, it could be anything in the room at all. And just take a moment to look at that object and to notice your breath as you're looking at that object. And what Patsy Rodenburg talks about with presence is this idea that there are 3 energy circles. And the first energy circle is quite closed in. And from a presence perspective, she tends to talk about that as being quite withdrawn and quite kind of self-conscious. And then she talks about the third energy circle, which is kind of really out, and it's loud, and it's not particularly self-aware or aware of others, but it's kind of like you're almost talking over people and talking at people. And then she talks about the second circle, which is the circle of presence, where you have an intimate relationship with the person or the object that you're being with in that moment. And you can access those circles through your breath. So if you look at your object and you want to experience the first circle, then I ask you to, in your imagination, breathe to like the point halfway between you and that object. So it's a bit of a weird feeling, but you're breathing to that midway point. Even though you're looking at the object, you're breathing to a place somewhere in between. And just to notice your breath. And notice the sensations in your body when you breathe to the first circle. So you might feel some tension. You might feel yourself kind of collapse into yourself. There might be this sense that you're really having to hold your breath back. And I kind of feel myself just looking at the object. It doesn't really feel like there's very much relationship. I'm not really seeing it. And then I invite you to experience the third circle, which requires you to breathe to a place behind the object that you're looking at. So maybe the same distance again behind the object. So as you look at the object, you're breathing to a place behind it. And again, to notice the feelings and sensations in your body when you breathe to that place. And you might feel, I'm certainly experiencing that there's this overstretch and that I'm tensing my body in a different way to try and force my breath out. And again, although I'm looking at the object, I'm just looking at it. I'm not really seeing the details. There isn't really very much relationship going on there. And then I invite you to experience the second circle, the circle of presence. And to do that, you simply want to control your breath so that you breathe to the object itself. You might want to do that through your nose or through your mouth. And to notice the sensations in your body when you breathe to it in that way. That I definitely feel my body feeling more relaxed. That I'm not only just looking at this glass that I'm actually taking in. And it almost feels like there's something coming back. That's my experience of it. So if you bring your attention away from that and back to the screen, just invite maybe one person to share, if they're willing, in the take themselves off mute, what their experience was like breathing to the first circle, the third circle, and the second circle. Anyone willing to unmute themselves and to share their experience? Even if the experience was, I have no idea what you're talking about at all. At least that will let me know where we're at. Go on then, Alison. Bless you.
I connected very much with what you were saying, actually. The sense with the first time of holding back. It was definitely involved a certain type of control that was restrictive,
Yeah.
I would say. And then initially actually going beyond felt expansive, but then there was that sense of maybe, it's hard to say, it's going into sort of, it's again a control thing, and going in, trying to just reach that little bit more beyond.
Yeah.
And then it felt very comforting to come back into presence. It felt very loving. And I've got this, I have to show you, look, I've got this beautiful amethyst crystal. So I couldn't help myself. And but I felt very warm towards my beautiful amethyst crystal. It felt natural. Just breathing was natural and lovely. Thank you. It was lovely.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, it's a really, really lovely exercise. I also noticed that the colouring is quite similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Great.
Yeah.
Anyway, so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So if I could ask you to go back on mute, if you don't mind. Brilliant. So now let's experience those same 3 circles, but by embodying the lover archetype as well. So if I just talk you through what that lover archetype might feel like. So again, feeling your bum on the seat and your feet on the floor. And allowing your attention to go inwards and to really feel into the more of the fluids in your body. So feeling the kind of the softness and the aqueous feeling of the blood pumping around the body. The feeling of the cells being bathed in this life-giving fluid. The fluid around the spine and around the brain. How all the parts of our bodies are interconnected. The liver speaks to the heart, and your gut speaks to your head, and the heart speaks to your feet. To feel the space around your heart and around your chest, and to allow that to open. So there's that feeling of being receptive, but also open to giving as well. So it moves in both directions. And then to bring your object back into view, whilst trying to stay connected to your body. So there's this, your attention's in 2 places. And I invite you to breathe to the first circle, which is somewhere in the middle between you and your object. And to do that, how do you notice that changes your embodiment of the lover archetype? Do you notice something happening around your heart, your chest? What do you notice feeling about the relationship between all the parts of your body? Do you feel more fluid, or do you feel more tense, or something else? And then to move to the third circle, so that's breathing to a point behind your object. And again, how does that affect your heart space, your chest space? And how you feel connected to yourself. And then breathing to the second circle, the circle of presence, which is to breathe directly to the object, no matter how far away it is. And again, noticing the impact that has on your chest, and your relationship to the whole of your body. Maybe you find yourself thinking differently or feeling differently. And then taking your attention away, bringing it inward. And when you feel ready to come back to the screen. And I've purposefully not shared what my experience was, but just to keep it quite open, so that, again, if anyone would like to share, that they can take themselves off mute. And maybe let us know what their experience was of doing that exercise. Greta, that would be great. Thank you. You're on mute, Greta.
What it felt like when I was doing the 1 and the 3 circle was that I was kind of longing for the object, because I had gotten a relationship to the object.
Nice.
So it was good when I did the second one with the present and could look directly at the object.
Great. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah, yeah, I can really see that. I've never thought of it that way, but yes, that's, yeah, that longing because you're not connected. And so, yeah, beautiful. Really beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Anybody else?
Okay, I'd like to share.
Great.
I felt very much the same during the first session as Alison said. In the first circles, the presence was very calming and the most comfortable. In the second session with the archetype of lover, it was very surprising. Both sessions, the further away one is almost impossible to do, and very, very uncomfortable and almost distressing, thinking, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't. And in the second one, the second session, the circle of presence was almost too intense, actually. And I felt far more comfortable in the first one, connected to lover. I felt far more comfortable doing the half breath which is extremely surprising to me. Yeah, I felt much better in the presence in the first one. It was too intense the second time.
Right. Yeah. Wow, what a great, lovely insight. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll just show you. Beautiful.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
Wow, that is really
Dear donkey.
elegant, isn't it? Yeah, really beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you for listening, everyone.
Thank you. Alison, yes, please.
I just want to add in briefly, because I had a lovely experience last night with the Way of the Buzzard, a shamanic group, and we did a journey circle into the water. And so when you were describing into the sea, and it was very beautiful, and with seahorse and seal, there was a seal anyway. I love the inner imaginary work can be really helpful, but I had this wonderful sense of the sea as sea mother and loving and nurturing. And when you were describing all of our body and the fluids and everything, when you were talking about love, I found that so helpful. And I really felt sort of bathed and nurtured and nourished. And so when I found that I looked with the presence, I did feel this lovely connection with my object. I think my object is able to take quite a lot of being with the beautiful crystal, the amethyst. But I felt with Lorna, when I was trying to go beyond, I just thought that thing people say a lot these days, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. It felt I'm not enough. I can't reach it.
Interesting. Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Such an interesting exercise. Just,
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And all Patsy Rodenburg's talking about, I think, or all I've taken from her work that's up until now has very much been this thing about presence, and therefore like how that impacts in public speaking, because that's her realm, that's how she talks about it. But I'm really hearing in this that there's this thing of, and it's all connected, I know, but there's this thing around relationship, right? And that a little bit to what Lorna was speaking to, there's this thing of, if I breathe to the object into this second circle, that there's so much intensity to that can feel really overwhelming. So because this session is about listening and communication, how powerful that can be to listen and to speak to somebody from that presence of second circle. Yeah.
I just want to add one more thing that connects in. What I found with the breath, and it surprised me, was that when I was doing it with presence, I was able to take, my breath could be very long and I could have a lot of space between my breath. It was up to me. There was sort of a choice. But I just found that, that's interesting, that I'm actually taking a long time with just almost like not breathing, just comfortably.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means, but I just wanted to mention that, because that was a surprising thing about the breath experience, just taking the time, being able to take time with the breath and being able to just be without even needing to breathe.
Yeah. Well, there's a spaciousness to presence, right? There's a real spaciousness to presence. And not only is there spaciousness for you, but there's also spaciousness for the other person. Yeah, I mean, I know we're doing it to an object, so it makes it easier to do online and it's less charged sometimes, but because the session is about listening and communication, there's this real thing about, we want spaciousness, I can't remember who I was reading about, but somebody was saying, we're often so rushed all the time that when we speak really quickly because we're rushing to get the words out, because we think that we're not going to have enough time, or that someone's going to cut through us, or that the meeting's going to come to an end, or someone's going to speak over us. So there's this real anxiety. But in presence, in second circle, there's this spaciousness that allows that just to be. And that's really powerful too, right? In relationship with other people. So thank you, ladies. That was stunning. I really enjoyed that. So thank you very much. And time has done its thing. So my invitation to you and to anybody who's listening to the recording is just to think about, how can I practice being in presence when I'm in relationship with other people, in that listening and communicating experience. And yeah, let us know what your experience has been, if you're willing to do that. So just to draw everything to a close, I would just like to share with you that, and again, this is in the chat. If you've looked on the Archetypes Facebook group, Thea and I are going to be running a session on sovereign leadership. So we're going to just do a 4-week course, 2 hours on a Tuesday each week for 4 weeks, where we're going to be delving deeper into the sovereign archetype. The sessions are going to be longer, so we can spend more time having that embodied awareness, and with that greater awareness that we can access more of our sovereignty and access more of warrior, lover, and magician as well, so that we can take a deeper dive into that and to have that help us in our leadership and in our self-leadership and leadership of others as well. So if that sounds like that's interesting, then please go to the link and please spread the word. My town crier from last time, ding-a-ling-a-ling. Yeah, please do that. We would really appreciate that. And yeah, if you have any questions about it, then please do get in contact, and I'd be happy to speak with you about it. So great. So thank you very much for attending. Thank you for anyone who's listening on the recording. Thanks for taking the time to listen. And I'll see you next week. Thank you very much. So please unmute yourselves in the usual way and say goodbye, and I shall end the call. Thank you.
Thank you. What a lovely session,
Thank you.
everybody.
Yeah, really lovely. Thanks very much, David. Thank you,
Thank
Greta.
you.